Alright, I think we're live. So we're gonna do this. We're gonna start our... I don't know how clearly the webcam is working. If you can see me, or am I like transparent? I can't really... So I'm gonna inform a lot of you guys. I'm live. Come check me out. Also, check the face cam quality. Okay, so yeah, I also made a Facebook post saying that I'm gonna be live, and around 10 people saw that an hour ago. So I don't know if anybody's gonna be like, how many of you guys have been waiting? I don't know. So I'm gonna check. Just give me a second. Oh, here it is. God, the internet is so slow. Yeah, nobody's here, but I'm gonna wait a moment for people to arrive. If somebody is joining the stream, please leave a message, say hi or anything to let me know that we are functional. Also, the face cam, I'm trying this for the first time. Don't know for a fact if this is like, you guys can see this, or is this clear, or is this I can see myself, but I'm seeing I'm getting stuck a lot, and I can also see that the my face cam is transparent, so I don't know if it's transparent on your end as well. Holy fuck, the internet is just, wow, I'm completely stuck. What the right. Alright. So, yeah, I don't know. Bruh. Yeah, I'm just gonna wait a while. See how many of you guys actually, okay, so yeah, I'm just gonna start. I don't know. Okay, wait a minute. Let's see my own stream for a second. Okay, so in the actual video, I seem to not be transparent, which is cool. I'm looking at my own. Yeah, this is gonna be like a paradoxical over and over, like a. Yeah, I get it, but so yeah, so I'm not transparent in the actual video, so that's cool. I needed to check that out. Now I can just put my face cam back to where I was. Where was it? Oh, here it is. Put my face cam back to the top left corner, and we can now see what. Okay, so I think way improved, lots of noise from the mic. Okay, Minhas Fuad, please communicate in the channel, in the chat, like a normal YouTuber, like a normal streamer. Right? yeah, Blood has become streamer now. Hey, making a shark face. You know, if enough people come, not like that sounded weird. But like if enough people arrive in the chat. Fuck it, man. Why can't I? Okay. So if enough people join the chat, join the stream, then we're gonna start talking about the actual issue. You know what the issue is. We talked about this. The issue is obviously going to be about, you know, what's happening in our land, the Holy Land, a particular strip. I'm trying to not. Okay, fine. You know what's happening in Gaza. I've made videos about this already. Yeah, there are some recent stuff that I've been seeing. I haven't seen them yet, but I want to talk about them on stream. Right, so yeah, I'm obviously gonna wait for a few more people to arrive, and you guys please communicate in the chat, say hi, and then say if like the sound and if you can hear me, or is the face cam, because I'm seeing a lot of stuttering, but I don't know if the stuttering is happening on your screens, or is it just on my screen. So yeah, just give me some like technical feedback if you can. That would be great. Now I'm gonna make another Facebook post. There's no rush. I can wait. Definitely wait. I at least need a couple of my friends to be with, at least, so that I can like just you know, discuss the matter. Discuss this matter with them. You know? Discuss the topic at hand. I'm like I'm like becoming like a political reactor like Hasanabi. Except I'm not woke. I'm less woke than Hasanabi. Hey guys, I can see 3 people. Say hi and communicate while I set up a few things. If you're here from Facebook, then tell me who you are. Maybe I can recognize you because you're probably on my friend list. Wait, what is this? Oh, I just opened up my own. Wait, what happened? Are we back? Yeah, we're back. Alright. So the topic at hand, okay? I think a few people are watching, so I'm just gonna start off with the topic. So I've made a couple of videos, right? About the Palestine-Israel situation. I made one video talking about the support, the global support that the Muslims, not just the Muslims, Palestinians, because there are lots of Palestinian Muslims as well as Christians. So I don't want to misrepresent, because even the Palestinian Christians, they don't have anybody except us. Like the ones who are supporting Palestine, and the Palestinian Muslims and non-Christian Palestinians are the only people that actually are with the Palestinian Christians. Like even the Christians around the world, the Europeans, the Christians in the West, and all around the world, they're all there supporting Israel. Even though Palestine is the birthplace of Jesus Christ, Bethlehem, which is the city where Jesus was born, all of those places are under occupied territory. All the Christians there are suffering as well, but nobody seems to care, you know. That's also something that is actually happening, and they're suffering along with us, you know, actually with the Palestinians, so they count. So their suffering also matters. So there's that. And the fact that, yeah, the first video was about the worldwide support, especially from the Western countries, especially from America and England and a few other countries, lots of countries. But we covered some of the I reacted to some of the videos. Most of them were British and American and Israeli, and they were showing their support for Palestine. And then another one where I reacted to some Israeli old blokes, scumbags really. They were admitting to massacring vast quantities of people, children, school children as well. So yeah, after that, we today I actually want to look at some more videos. One individual named Douglas Murray has been spewing some like absolutely horrible, I don't have words to like describe what kind of foul language, racist tone that he uses when talking about anybody who isn't white, basically, right? Especially Muslims, especially Arabs, especially Palestinians. Okay, and it just makes stuff up as he goes on. Okay, he just makes stuff up as he goes on, has no regard for anybody other than, you know, himself and a few others, you know, the far right, that kind of stuff. So I've seen some people reacting to them, especially not some people. One person in particular is Muhammad Hijab's video on his channel, where he and there's a lot of other stuff that I actually want to react to. A lot of these things, but basically the one where he here it is, the one video where he talks about Douglas Murray. And then there are also, like, I've watched, like, there's a lot of stuff that I have to watch. Like recently, like for the last like 12 days, I haven't been watching his videos. Like this one I haven't watched, and then like from this part, and I haven't. I've watched. I think there was like a podcast with the three Muslims, Muhammad Hijab and this person Abdullah Andalusi, I think. And I've seen the other podcast, but I haven't seen this one. So yeah, this is the last video that I've seen. So yeah, we will react to some of them. But today especially, I really want to see their take on what they want to say about Douglas Murray. And this individual is like absolutely just making shit up as he goes. Okay? Like, yeah, but we're just gonna react to it, and as we're watching it, we're gonna talk about it as we go on. Okay, so this is gonna be our first video of today's live stream. So we're gonna talk, chat, and then watch some videos along the way. That's how some of these live streams are gonna go. Some days, some other days, when there's no like genocide happening, we're gonna play some video games, right? But now, today, this is, I feel like we need to talk about this as much and as often as possible, because guys, this has been going on for 75 years. 75 years. I don't think, like, and a lot of people saying, oh, it's too complicated, you know, it's too complicated to talk about it. You know, it's extremely complicated to justify genocide, but it's not complicated at all to condemn it, you know. So we can condemn genocide, you know. And then there are some people, especially people in America, who are saying that, oh, it's not my country, Israel and Palestine. I don't live in Israel, I don't live in Palestine, so what happens in those countries doesn't matter to me. But actually, sir, if you're an American and if you're paying tax dollars, you are directly involved in the genocide. You are directly, your money goes directly into genocide. You are directly funding it, right? Your tax dollars are going to Israel because America gives $4 billion to Israel. That's on a normal day. That's on a normal year. But this year, since Israel has entrepreneured this genocide, they have decided to go on this genocidal project. America has gifted them $14 billion for the genocide, and this money is coming from the American citizens' taxes. So if you're an American, if you're paying taxes, and then you say, oh, Israel is not my country, so I don't care, but you're directly involved in this because your tax dollars are going to the genocide. So you have to give a shit about what's going on in Israel and what's going on in Palestine, what the Israeli government is doing. You know, you may be directly or indirectly paying for the genocide, paying the expenses, literally paying for the weapons, paying for the bombs, paying for the airstrikes, the artillery, and you're funding death, massacres, murders, genocide. You know, so I think you should give a shit. And people all around the world, we need to wake the fuck up. This cannot happen any longer. Right? So, with all that being said, again, I'm being sidetracked. I can talk about this on and on and on because I've been seeing this my entire life, basically. I remember vividly what they did in 2014, and then they repeated that in 2021, and this time they have topped all the other times, all the other incidents. Okay, this is an all-time high. This is an all-time, like, the brutality pales in comparison to what they did in the previous years, in 2021, in 2014, and they didn't just stop. Like, after 2014, they kept bombing, but there was like a 1 or 2 bombs in a week, 1 bomb a day, you know. Then they did the 2021, and it was like horrible, but then they didn't stop, you know. There was a couple bombs here and there, you know. They didn't stop. This time it's much worse, because some estimates are saying, I think it was UN or something gave us the numbers, and it's like 14,000, and more than 5,000 of them are children. More than 5,000 are children. More than 70% are like more than 70% are women and children. You know, that's the numbers that we're talking about. So yeah, we're just gonna react to some of the videos today. We'll react to what Muhammad Hijab and Ali Dawa has to say about this Douglas Murray caricature. Yeah, so I'm gonna put my headphones on because the echo that happens when I play a video is not something that you want to deal with. Okay. By the way, I hate these headphones because they're so goddamn heavy. I hope you can hear me just as good. If anybody's online, please comment. Tell me if the audio is like, you can hear me correctly, you can hear me right. If you can hear me clearly, please give a shout out, say something, comment. If you can hear me clearly, please give a shout out. I think the microphone's working now. I'm just gonna wait for a few more people, alright? Because it's gonna be a lot more engaging if, you know, we can actually have a few people to talk to rather than just blabbering to an empty live stream. Ah, fuck it. Let's just react to this, and I'll later turn this into a video. So there's that. Alright. So, we're gonna see what Muhammad Hijab and Ali Dawa has to say about this scumbag, Douglas Murray. Wow, the internet today is not on my side. Oh shit. Let's see if there's a lot of lagging. What the hell? All right, let's jump right into this.
The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us, whoever builds a mosque for Allah, Allah will build for him a similar house in Jannah. And we know the great reward that will not only be gained, but rather will fill your grave after your death. Whenever someone prays there, whenever someone gives shahada in the masjid, whenever someone learns something in the masjid, yes, that will be something that you'll have on your scale. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you guys?
My face cam is blocking his face. Wait, let me... Now that's way too small. What? Alright, let's take this here. Right? Now I'm blocking his face. Yeah, I should be like down somewhere below. Yeah, here's or here. Here. Wait. I'll be here. It's fine.
I'm joined with the main man with the plan, Ali Dawa. How you doing, brother? You're right, mashallah.
Okay, how you doing?
It's been challenging times, hasn't it? Let's be
It
honest.
has been.
But we have a voice. Me, you, Zishan, and the rest of us, the Dawa squad, the Dawa team.
I have a voice too. Since now I'm like doing this reaction stuff, and I hope, inshallah, this stream and talking about this, posting videos, can spread some awareness, the little support that I can give for the people of Palestine. I'm forever grateful, forever glad. At least I did something, you know.
The sect, alhamdulillah, we've been able to really get through to a lot of people and make a change, and we continue hoping to do the same thing. But there's an individual, as you know, called Douglas Murray. Some people call him Gutless Murray because of the amount of times he's been challenged to debate and the amount of times he's refused that challenge.
Doesn't have the guts.
Doesn't have the guts. This individual has come out and fabricated lies. Fabricated lies, not just about Muslims and about IDF and all that stuff which he does. And he's got a lawsuit with me. He has to put his little suit on and walk into the court and defend himself because I've actually we've got a hearing with him. Not only that, but now he has to defend himself again because he lied about the religion of Islam. Let's take a look at the clip and come back.
Sure. Of course, that Muhammad, the founder of Islam, himself beheaded massively.
Yeah, I've actually watched this video, like not the full podcast. I'm not that crazy, but I've seen this bit where he says, "Oh, Prophet Muhammad killed countless Jews because the Jews refused to become Muslims. The Jews refused to accept Islam, so Prophet Muhammad killed a lot of Jews." He says that, this idiot, like the fact that Google was invented in what? Google invention year. Yeah, Google was invented in 1998, and Douglas Murray and all the stupid people who follow him pretend that it wasn't invented, right? Like they can say, he can say things out of his ass, like Prophet Muhammad killed Jews for not becoming Muslims, and that's why he killed them, and he killed people, and Muslims kill people for not accepting Islam. This dinosaur argument from like way back in the George Bush era is still being practiced and uttered in this little circle of like racist white male racist white far right wing circles, right? It's just ridiculous. Like a simple Google search done by a child can actually debunk him, right? Wait, what did I do? Oh shit, sorry, I went somewhere else.
And the Banu Quraysh of Islam himself beheaded.
Oh, he has to defend himself again.
How
because
stupid
he's
he
lied
looks when he
about
talks.
the religion of Islam. Let's take a look at the clip and come back. Sure.
Of course, that Muhammad, the founder of Islam, himself beheaded, massacred many Jews. Famously, one battle in particular, and the Banu Quraysh. It's a story you can find in the Quran and the Hadith. Of course, this is because the Jews would not accept the revelation of Muhammad, such as it was, and so they were seen within Islamic tradition as being one of the first people who turned down the opportunity to join Islam, and as a result, of course, Muhammad decapitated hundreds and hundreds of Jews. So that's not a good start.
Now, there's a few things I just want to point out.
Where does he get that from?
Off the cuff. Number one, it's not Banu Quraysh, it's Banu Qurayza, and that's a major difference because Quraysh is actually the tribe of the Prophet Muhammad.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So he didn't even get the names right. In fact, this is a serious error, and this shows you the incompetence, the negligence, the foolishness of this particular individual. Number two, no serious historian, okay, whether they are Muslim or non-Muslim, spanning the works from Ibn Ishaq to Ibn Hisham to the Musa ibn Uqba, to all of these figures that have written Sirah, all the way up to Karen Armstrong and these kind of all of these. None of those have a characterization of the events as he has put it. In fact, what he said is completely a lie. There wasn't such.
Yeah, I mean, nowhere else, like literally nowhere. Like what he just said has absolutely no basis anywhere. Like anywhere. Like you cannot find a single other record that says what he said. I mean, I can say more intelligent things than this guy, and he gets like, it's so fucked up. Like the world is so
impacts that he saw. There wasn't such a series of events where the Jews of Banu Qurayza were said, come into Islam, and if you don't, they will kill you. This is a lie. In fact, the Quran very clearly says, لا إكراه في الدين قد تبين الرشد من الغي, that there is no compulsion in religion, that truth has been made clear from falsehood. And that particular tribe, and there was many of those tribes, and we don't need to speak about Banu Qaynuqa or Banu Nadir for now. There's other tribes, Jewish tribes that existed with the Prophet. As you know, they had a pact with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There was a kind of constitution that protected their rights.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's another thing. Like the Muslims, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his companions, they all had all sorts of treaties and like all sorts of like alliances with Christians, basically, and after Christians, there were lots of treaties and lots of alliances with Jews. But the reason why Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, executed Jewish people are because those people they committed treason, basically, on the battlefield, right? They cheated on them and caused a lot of deaths on the Muslim side, right? They were charged with treason because they did horrible things, and which led to the deaths of many Muslim companions, and that's the reason why they were executed. You know, it wasn't indiscriminate. Oh, you're Jewish, you're not gonna become Muslim, so we're just gonna kill you. Like what Douglas Murray said. People weren't that, like, if people thought like Douglas Murray does now, there is no way we would have come this far. It's just utter stupidity what this guy just said.
Right, and allowed them not just to practice their religion as Jews, but to have a parallel legal system where they can rule on their own religion. That was the freedom that they were afforded. And this was 5 years into the Medinan period where the Prophet Muhammad had the polity. And in fact, what really took place was that the males in that tribe, the male combatants, because women didn't as much in the medieval period engage in fighting. They conspired with the pagan Arabs at the time. They conspired with them in a particular battle which actually resembles what's happening in Gaza, which we'll talk about in a second, called the Battle of Al-Ahzab, or the Confederates, which is mentioned in chapter 33 of the Quran, and is mentioned in the Seerah as well. And because of this conspiracy to kill the Muslim people, the male combatants, or the males among the particular Banu Qurayza tribe, were decapitated not by the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, but in fact by Sa'd ibn Mu'adh, who they accepted as an arbiter.
That's also another thing.
So this is,
I kind of forgot the name, but I also wanted to mention that it issued the execution. It was this other individual, Sa'd ibn Mu'adh, this companion.
This is actually, he gets so many things wrong here. And if you want to go into detail, there was actually figures like
it feels like it was on purpose. Like the way he talks like a movie villain, almost. You know, he whenever he talks, he's like he's on the spot making things up, and when he's not making things up, he's saying some horrible things about people. Like it doesn't even matter who he's talking, like what he's talking about, whether it's Arabs, whether it's black people, whether it's Muslims. He just hates everybody.
Saada and others.
And I actually watched very recently watched a video from this other channel called Navarra something. I sometimes watch their videos, especially when at times like these with the Israel-Palestine situation, and one of the guys pointed out, like, I've never heard Douglas Murray talk positively about anyone at all. Like, this guy is just poisonous. It's just poison. It's toxic.
Who were males, who were spared because they were seen not to dishonor some Seerah writers, they didn't dishonor the treaty. So the point being is that this cannot be compared to what is happening now, can it, Ali? Because in our religion, not only is there la ikraha fi ad-din qad tabayyana ar-rushd min al-ghayy, which is the idea that there's no compulsion in religion. In our religion, there's this idea that there's no killing of the civilians, and the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ mentioned very clearly that there's no killing of women, there's no killing of children, and there was no killing of women, and there's no killing of children. And how could it be, Ali? And tell us, because this man, you know him, and you've been following him as well a little bit. How could it be that they think that they have the moral high ground after all that they support and all that they've done? How dare they come to the people of Islam and the religion of Islam, which is the only religion of the medieval and ancient and antiquity period, of that kind of period, out of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, that says la fadla. There is no virtue of a white man over a black man, an Arab over a non-Arab. It's the only, you'll not find the equivalent of these statements. Yeah, you will not find the equivalent in the Old Testament or the New Testament. Yeah. So how could they think that they have the moral high ground of the New Testament? It comes of women, there's no killing of children, and there was no killing of women, and there's no killing of children. And how could it be, Ali? And tell us, because this man, you know him, and you've been following him as well, a little bit. How could it be that they think that they have the moral high ground after all that they support and all that they've done? How dare they come to the people of Islam and the religion of Islam, which it's the only religion of the medieval and ancient and antiquity period, of that kind of period out of Judaism, Christianity, Islam, that says la fadla. There is no virtue of a white man over a black man, an Arab over a non-Arab. It's the only, you'll not find the equivalent of these statements. Yeah, you will not find the equivalent in the Old Testament or the New Testament. Yeah. So how could they think that they have the moral high ground, and they're supporting people like the IDF who are indiscriminately killing women and children, babies' heads are being blown out? Tell us more about this.
I mean, to be honest, in a nutshell, it goes back to deep hatred and dehumanization of the Muslims at large, wherever they are, whoever they are for that matter. And you can very see clearly that they do not condemn IDF, they do not condemn what's going on in Israel.
Yes.
Why? Because they
no, they don't even condemn. No, they're doing. Douglas Murray is coming up with arguments that are just horrendous. Like, for example, I've heard him say that, oh, you want to talk about the land belonging to the indigenous people, so let's talk about what's happening to England. And he's referring to people all around the world, like people going to England from all around the world, right? Immigration. He's talking about immigrants and immigration as if that is equivalent to what Israel is doing to the Palestinians. What Israel is doing, ethnically cleansing the people of Gaza and the West Bank. And Douglas Murray is kind of comparing and equating that with immigration to the UK. First of all, who are the immigrants who go to the UK displacing? And second of all, who is being killed? Who is being airstriked? Who is being bombed or like massacred so that these immigrants can go and colonize the UK? What kind of colonization is like people from like my country, Bangladesh, or like India or Pakistan or some other country going to the UK? How is this? How do you compare this with genocide? It's just so dumb. This guy.
Not see Muslims as human beings, and this is exactly what he's doing. Because for him to come and try to flip this whole story on his head by talking about Banu Qurayza, like you said very clearly, the mushrikeen, the idol worship were coming to kill the Muslims. And not only that, inside Muslim armies there were spies and munafiqun. These are hypocrites who were plotting to kill the Muslims. On top of that, you've got an enemy in front of you, you've got enemy inside you, and you have a pact with Banu Qurayza, which is a Jewish community tribe which betrayed that. And anyone who goes into war, you will understand that. For example, if America was to go to war with Russia and UK is their allies and UK backstabs them, what do you think they should be done with United Kingdom? There would be severe consequences on the fighting men. That's exactly what happened. And you can see, brothers and sisters,
you can see that it's not civilians and women and children like what Israel is doing.
Exactly. And not only that, we've seen rabbis, we've seen Israeli politicians, we've seen IDF, we've even seen Israeli settlers.
Yes, we have.
These are your common layman who are clearly perpetrating and admitting and saying, it's not Hamas we're targeting, we want to flatten Gaza. So just imagine for a moment and a second that we had layman Muslims saying we want to get rid of the Jews as a whole, and then you've got the Muslim politicians saying yes, this is what we're going to do, and then you have the Muslim armies enacting that. There would be outright global outrage. There would be chaos.
There would be.
But this is the point here. We do not have... Points. Look, rabbis are coming out and saying they are quoting Amalekites. Look,
not rabbis. It was Benjamin Netanyahu himself who compared Palestinian babies and Palestinian mothers and Palestinian civilians with the Amalekites from the Bible. The Amalekites that were God ordered the Israelites. God ordered Joshua and the Israelites to wipe out the Amalekites. All the babies, all the women, all the children, all the men, all the livestock, the cows and the goats and the sheep and the donkeys. And the Amalekites were completely wiped out. And Benjamin Netanyahu is comparing the people of Palestine with the Amalekites from the Bible. meaning that they should be eradicated and they should be wiped out, exterminated, like the Amalekites. First of all, who is Benjamin Netanyahu? Is Benjamin Netanyahu God? Does he think that he's some kind of God, that he can just decide that this race or this nation, this ethnicity of people, we have decided that they need to be eradicated, exterminated, as if you're some sort of God who can come up with this? Like this is why, like, a lot of the ultra orthodox rabbis who oppose the state of Israel, they keep saying that Zionism is against Judaism, Zionism is against Judaism. Now I think about it, these people, this guy Benjamin Netanyahu, is talking as if he's God. You know, like as if he's some kind. He thinks of himself as he's some kind of God, that he's exempt. Like when he exterminates an entire nation of people, it is somehow okay when he does it. You know, like he is excused. When he kills, he's excused.
Benjamin Netanyahu even mentioned this, yes.
Yes, yeah.
Why are they mentioned? Who's Amalekites? Amalekites are a group of people that went against God Almighty, and God Almighty, this is an instruction of ethics of war, told Moses, go to the Amalekites.
Where's this? 1 Samuel 15?
Yes, 1 Samuel chapter 15 verse 2 to 3. And kill who? Men, women, children, babies, and even donkeys. Now, I want to ask a simple question.
What did the donkey do?
I asked that question to a lot of Christians, and
what did the donkey do?
I asked that, what did they do? I don't think anyone can answer it. The point is what? They are the ones outright. We asked Douglas, this gutless coward, show us a single scripture in our holy scripture, in anywhere in the Islamic tradition, that tells us to indiscriminately look. It's a ethics of war to kill men, women, children, and babies.
That's right.
So how dare you? Again, it goes back to what? The dehumanization of Muslims. He does not want anyone, not a single British person, to ever feel sorry for the Muslims.
Sympathy for what's happening.
Zero. That's why he mentioned this story, saying that because they didn't want to accept Islam.
And he fabricated them.
An absolute lie. It's an absolute lie. No historian.
Now he looks like a fool, doesn't he?
But he's always looked like a fool before this.
You won't even find anybody who's an Orientalist.
He does look like a fool.
Never.
Anybody who knows the facts on the ground, anybody who knows the facts, Douglas Murray is an absolute idiot. He's an absolute idiot. I don't understand. Like Douglas Murray, people like Robert Spencer. I've also watched the PVD podcast where Daniel Hakikachu and Jake Bragatella, the Muslim metaphysician. I've actually been watching, like, continuously watching every single video of his after that debate. I started watching him first since like last year. Right after my grandmother passed away last year, and I was very, very depressed. And I started watching a lot of these, like Jake, the Muslim metaphysician. I started watching Hamza. Hamza is another person who gives Islamic dawah, and he has his channel called Hamza's Den, where he does this. I think that it's really, really cool what he does. It's called The Arena. He brings all the famous Muslim speakers that he could find. He does it like a weekly or daily. I haven't watched an arena in a while, right? He brings all these people. He brings, I think, what's his name? Sheikh Uthman ibn Farouk and Daniel Hakikachu and Hashim and a lot of other like Muslim speakers, and they join the stream, and then they wait, and they just wait for people to ask questions, and people can come at them with all types of like whatever. If you're like a Christian, Jew, atheist, Islamophobe, whatever you want to call yourself, you can come to the stream, and they will accept no questions from Muslims. They only let non-Muslims ask like all the like hard-hitting questions that they can come up with, and that's the arena. It's a really long, like 6 hour long streams where they like just take questions from non-Muslims and answer them. I feel like that's really, really cool. And I started watching those, and I started watching a lot of these. I actually started watching Muhammad Hijab and Ali Dawah even a long time before that, but especially these types of like dawah and debate type things, I started watching since last year. Yeah, so I've also started following Jake, the Muslim metaphysician, at that same time. And yeah, so I'm actually sidetracking a lot. I was talking about, yeah, so that debate with PBD podcast, right? They brought Robert Spencer, and they have like yeah, obviously Douglas Murray, even Ben Shapiro. Like, their arguments are so paper thin, like you can demolish them. Like Ali Dawah can demolish them. Muhammad Hijab, if they only put them in a room with either one of these guys, right? If they put them in a room with either one of these guys, their careers will be demolished, right? Like, they just let Robert Spencer and another guy, Rashid somebody, with in a room with Daniel Hakikachu and Jake, the Muslim metaphysician. Jake alone destroyed both of them in that debate. If you guys haven't seen the debate, I highly recommend go check out PBD podcast, where Daniel Hakikachu, Muslim metaphysician, Jake, and these other two guys, Robert Spencer and brother Rashid, or what was his name? I don't really remember whatever the name was, but you can check that channel out, check that debate out. It was ridiculous, but it was like, at the end they just embarrassed themselves.
Story.
Never.
And that shows you, I mean, this is a short video, but this individual here who's been reluctant, if not actually completely non-accepting of any kind of debate, he's a coward, he's an absolute joke of a human being, and I think that he's going to have to defend himself either way. It's going to be in a legal way, when he's going to put in his 32-inch blazer on his body, and then he's going to put his little shoes on, his size 6 shoes, and then he's going to walk to the courtroom, and he's going to have to defend himself for defamation of character, and the lawyers have already put the summons to him.
Yes.
Oh,
and
really?
he's going to be humiliated
really?
there.
So is he getting sued for spreading misinformation? That is that would be awesome if that happens. Because I've been going like, this guy's just saying like stuff that like is like you will find nowhere else. He just brings things, like pulls things out of his ass, basically. I'm sorry. I'm reacting to like Islamic YouTubers and cussing at the same time, but you know what I mean. This guy, and as if like there's no repercussions, as if nobody's gonna call him out. No.
As well. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Hey,
you! Are you wasting your time on social media again? Your brothers and sisters in Islam Net from Norway are establishing a masjid, a dawah center. Establishing a masjid to convey the message of Islam is one of the best deeds a Muslim can do. There's a huge need for it in Norway. You know this and I know this. So that makes the reward even greater. So give generously and Allah Azza wa Jal will give you even more.
Alrighty then. So that was a video, and that was fun. I don't know how long. This video is 10 minutes long, and I talked a lot during that time. I don't know how long the video is. If you add like, I'm gonna cut this bit and post it as a separate video. So it's gonna be like this video and my commentary on it. It's gonna be like 20 minutes something video, because I talked a lot. So obviously. Now what else is to let's see another video, because I have time. I actually want to watch a lot of these, and then I'm gonna cut them into videos and post them as separately. this one's gonna. This is the one that I would highly recommend anybody who's watching the stream. Concise and entire history of the Palestine conflict. This is very important for any Muslim who wants to, not just Muslim, anybody who wants to actually understand the conflict. This is very long, so I'm not gonna get to it. I think I've seen like whenever Abdullah Andalusi comes to Muhammad Hijab's channel, he drops a lot of knowledge bombs, and it's usually a very, very long podcast style video. And even in the last video from last year, I think, when they brought him, he actually did explain a lot about the conflict and what's going on and what are the Israelis doing, you know, and the history of Israel and Palestine. So yeah, you can get a lot of knowledge from these two. So I highly recommend this podcast or whatever, discussion and like this just knowledge drop. 1 hour and 30-minute long video, but it's very important video, so I want everybody to watch it. Other than that, we can watch. I've actually watched this. I watched this. Okay, Ben Shapiro student debates. Which one do you want me to watch next? Or should I just end this stream? You know, yeah, I'm actually more interested in watching this Ben Shapiro debate. Okay, I also want to check out Ali Dawah's channel for a minute. Ali Dawah, because I know all of these guys that are covering the Israel-Palestine nowadays. They're not really focusing on anything else. Oh yeah, this is cool. This fake Israeli, of course. Of course. Tommy Robinson still, or is it really Mayweather? Okay. Alright. Oh, also, let's watch what Zishan, Smile to Jannah, has been doing. Spills the beans on Skyward. Greta Thunberg. Yeah, so a lot of... I've actually watched these. Third oldest church, why everyone's terrified of Israel. Yeah, so he's been making some content as well. Right now, I actually want to watch the Joe Rogan one, because I've seen Joe Rogan. Like, Joe Rogan brings both Israeli, pro-Israeli, as well as pro-Palestine people on, and he's also brought Abby Martin. And Joe Rogan in the past, a lot of the times, has always like, he's been pretty balanced, but kind of against genocide of the people of Gaza, obviously. And Joe Rogan is rational enough. Like, usually we talk about these people, and a lot of the times, like, oh, it's too complicated. Oh, it's very, I don't want to. But Joe Rogan actually, yeah, he also says the same stuff. Oh, complicated. I don't really understand this. You know, it's not in my country. It's a different country. Whatever's happening. But then he will say that, okay, but then again, civilians being killed, especially one, like, in a particular area, there are more civilians being killed than on the other side. So obviously that's something that shouldn't happen, right? And yeah, he brings all sorts of people. And the thing is, when he was with Abby Martin, the pro-Palestine journalist, he was very compassionate towards the Palestinians, you know. And other times when he's with pro-Israeli speakers, talking heads, he kind of shifts and kind of speaks a little like towards the Israeli side. He kind of just jumps around from here, one side and the other side. He just jumps from one boat to another. I don't know. Is there going to be something like, because you see, Muhammad Hijab himself a few days ago made this video where he's praising Joe Rogan for showing his sympathies for the Palestinians, and now he's making another video where he's saying that Joe Rogan is being manipulated by Zionists. I don't know, what does that actually imply? I guess we're just gonna check it out, right? So this is gonna be the video.
Hey you, are you wasting your time on social media again? Your brother.
Oh my god, the internet.
Brothers and sisters in Islam net for. From Norway are establishing a masjid, a dawah center. Establishing a masjid to convey the message of Islam is one of the best deeds a Muslim can do. There's a huge need for it in Norway. You know this and I know this.
Man, these headphones are heavy as balls. It just hurts. I just want to lie down because it's just so fucking heavy. Buying these headphones was a mistake. I have severe neck pain because of this.
There's a huge need for it in Norway. You know this and I know this. So that makes the reward even greater. So give generously and Allah Azza wa Jal give you even more. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you guys doing? You may have seen the video that I done recently about a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago about Joe Rogan, and I gave him credit actually. I gave him credit for some of his stances about the Palestine issue, especially when he had one Abu Martin on and
yeah, I kind of feel like Muhammad Hijab now should talk to Candace Owens, because Candace Owens is somebody from the right wing, but is kind of changed her stance. Like she works for the Daily Wire, which is Ben Shapiro's company, and they're all pro-Israel. There's no doubt. Anybody who says anything nice about Palestinians faces his wrath, right? And Candace Owen is there saying, "Oh, no country should be allowed to commit genocide," and you know, the country that she's hinting at is Israel. And immediately Joe Rogan, Ben Shapiro is like, "Oh, disgraceful! What she did was disgraceful." Like he said that in a Q&A session somewhere. I don't know, but I did watch the clip where he's saying, "Oh, Candace Owen, her behavior is disgraceful." Not like that. Not in this voice. Like, "Oh, Candace Owens, what are you, disgraceful?" Like that. So
she was giving good, historical information and first-hand accounts about the situation in Gaza. And I commended him for that, actually, because it takes guts and it shows independence of thought and of mind, and that he's not a money over morals individual. And I thought this individual was independent until I saw the following clip where he's being manipulated by a Zionist.
What do you think? I'm Israel. You're the Palestinians in Gaza. If every one of the people in Gaza laid down the arms and stopped attacking, what would Israel do to you?
It's a good question.
Nothing. They've tried it 5 different times. They literally stop attack. Israel.
I see. They're so shit all of a sudden. I don't get it.
Has never, not one time in history, initiated any conflict. Every single one of those things that you're pointing to is a retaliatory attack by a terrorist organization. But if that was switched, where I, Israel, you, Hamas in Gaza, I take all of my arms and all of my protection and I laid them down, what would Hamas do? They would kill every single one. That's what they do. That's what they're sworn to do. That's their motto and the origin of their existence, all the way back to the Grand Mufti traveling to Hitler to ask, how do we solve the Jewish problem? Like, you want to follow from the Hamas to the Muslim Brotherhood, all the way back to the Grand Mufti, to Mujahideen, and you see the origins of one thing, which is, how do I solve the Jewish problem, is to eradicate and kill them. That is what Hamas came from. Not the Palestinians, not those poor people stuck in Gaza, but in that problem, if all of Hamas just went away, we would have peace. If they laid down their arms and they stopped murdering innocent civilians and raping women and killing babies, you would have peace. If the other side laid down their arms, they would all be murdered.
Now, I think that this clip is laughable, and only a person who is a non-specialist or an ignoramus or a propagandist.
Exactly. This is the thing. All these people and all their arguments are made for what's the word he just said?
Be murdered.
Now, I think that this clip is laughable, and only a person who is a non-specialist
or
an ignoramus.
A lot of their arguments and a lot of their talking points are specifically manufactured, tailor-made for non-specialists. They understand fully well that the people right now are like this TikTok generation of dumb kids who have 2 brain cells, who don't know how to Google things, or who don't know how to do proper research. Look at the facts on the ground, look for sources, fact check, that sort of stuff, and they take advantage of that. Other times they blame them, oh, this generation is so stupid, this generation is oh, TikTok generation is so dumb. But at the same time, these are the people who know full well that these dumb ignoramuses, as he calls them, these ignoramus populists of TikTok brain dead zombies, they're not going to fact check anything. They're not going to look at the sources. And that's why they say these things, knowing full well that the dumbass people who are going to consume this are never going to actually check for the facts, right?
Or propagandist would consider this to be factual information. The first thing he said is that Israel never initiated any kind of conflict. Well, think of the following. Before 1948, where was Israel anyway? Israel was not an entity. So how did it come to be an entity? Do you think that Israel, or the Zionists, in what would then be called Israel, were able to establish for themselves a state without conflict? Do you think that? Do you think that's what happened? Well, if you do think Israel was not an entity, so how did it come to be an entity? Do you think that Israel, or the Zionists, in what would then be called Israel, were able to establish for themselves a state without conflict? Do you think that? Do you think that's what happened? Well, if you do think that, then you're more ignorant than you sound. Because actually, if you read any book, even those from the secondary source materials of Zionist historians, what you've said is actually false on so many different grounds. Just a quick one. In the 1920s and 30s, what happened is that Jewish immigration to Palestine increased. In the 40s, it increased more rapidly and exponentially. And at the same time, what you had was the rise of Zionist militia terrorist groups like Irgun and Levy and the Stern Gang. I'll give you one event that took place, which was actually not a reaction to anything, but in fact a terrorist attack, which everybody who's read on this issue knows about. And that is the 1946 King David Hotel bombing, in which 91 people died.
I've actually watched a lot of these videos, so like even before he says it, I actually know that he's talking about the King David terrorist bombing.
This attack, which everybody who's read on this issue knows about. And that is the 1946 King David Hotel bombing, in which 91 people died, in fact white people, British people, and this was something which was initiated by those groups. Now those groups, or at least the commanders of those groups, became prime ministers and presidents of Israel thereafter. And that is the 1946 King David Hotel bombing, in which 91 people died, in fact white people, British people,
91
and this was something which was initiated by those groups. Now those groups, or at least the commanders of those groups, became prime ministers and presidents of Israel thereafter.
Fuck.
In 1948, the inception of Israel took place, and the Nakba took place as well. In fact, in 1947, what is referred to as the Civil War, the Palestinian Civil War, where even in Haganah records, which was one of the groups, the armed Jewish groups or Zionist groups, Ben Gurion writes very freely and honestly about the fact that Plan Dalet, which was a plan that was intended to try and effectively displace Palestinian people from their place, took place. And that was before the inception of the State of Israel. So now we talk about 1947 and 1946, 1947, before the inception of the State of Israel. But even that is just one aspect. We're talking about the one analysis. Another analysis is after the inception of the State of Israel. You see, even the 1948 war that took place between the Arab nations around Israel, where, by the way, the people were outgunned. The Arabs were outgunned and outmanned. People think that this was so many different countries versus Israel. No, they were outgunned and outmanned. Even in that war, okay, which they lost, which was a failure for the Arab nations, it was a failure. It was preceded by the events aforementioned, the Nakba, the Plan Dalet, the 1947 Palestinian conflict, the 1946 King David Hotel bombing.
And also, like, people just talk about, oh, Israel, one country, fought and defended itself and won the battle against so many Middle Eastern countries. But the fact that they were funded by US, even back in those days, you know, they were funded by the US, they were funded by the UK, funded by the European nations, even back then, you know, and all the weapons came from the US and the UK and the European nations. All the rockets, all the whatever weaponry they used back in those days were donated by America and the West, and they were like funding them even back in those days. So it goes back like way back, like during the inception of this terrorist state, right? And they did that, and they won those wars because America and the entirety of Europe was giving them money.
And other things as well. So what you're saying is factually incorrect according to everybody. I mean, nobody even from the Zionist historian side says what you're saying. Then you have the 1956 Suez Canal crisis. Now, there's no credible historian that says that the Suez Canal crisis, which took place in Egypt, a different country, a different sovereign nation, was because of Egyptian antagonism to Israel. This is not what happened. In fact, the 1956 Suez War crisis, Suez Canal crisis, was a conglomerate or an alliance between Israel, France, and the United Kingdom. All three of these nations attacked Egypt. So you cannot say that this was an attack on Israel by Gamal Abdel Nasser, the then president of Egypt, which then led to some kind of reaction. No, Israel, along with the United Kingdom and France, initiated the conflict. And anyone who knows anything about history knows that there was then a UN resolution which ended the conflict, which, by the way, the United States spearheaded. This is just go anywhere, read any book of history, Mansfield, Horowitz, anyone you like, and you'll see that this is mentioned. Then comes the 1967 war. 1967 war was a surprise attack on Egypt and Syria and Jordan. It was a surprise attack by the Israelis. So how can this be, if it's a surprise attack which destroyed so many different infrastructure, and it was a 6-day war, and you have military commanders of Israel gloating and boasting about the success of this surprise preemptive strike, they called it? How could this be because of some kind of an aggression? You are a liar. And Joe Rogan should be ashamed of himself for listening to someone like you without fact-checking that information. I find that to be completely objectionable. Why couldn't he use the same rigor and integrity that he does with the mixed martial arts, which is a much lesser situation, on a situation like this? If someone came to you, Joe Rogan, and started talking...
Here's the thing, like, people brag and people just bitch about free speech and then say stuff like say absolutely like unacademical stuff, like this guy, and not just this guy. This guy, same with Douglas Murray, Ben Shapiro, even Bill Maher. Bill Maher is just another, like, he comes with all these dinosaur arguments. These are dinosaur arguments, right? And like, basically his point of view is, oh, this is a Muslim country, so all the murders are just like, it's just deeply because I watched something this morning, something Bill Maher saying something I don't quite remember, but I got really triggered from hearing it. He said, what I can't really remember what he said, but yeah, I'll get to that when I remember it.
Rubbish about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, or about boxing, or about kickboxing, or about Wing Chun, or about those things, you'd be the first to put them on the back foot and tell them that they're the ones who are BSing you. You'd be the first to do that. We've seen that. We have seen that take place. We've seen you put people in their place because of their lack of knowledge on combat sports. So where do you find the audacity or the confidence to listen to a Zionist manipulator manipulate you on key facts, which across the board, Palestinian historians, Western historians, non-partisan historians, and Zionist historians all agree? So I think this is nonsense. And I could go further. I could talk about 2006. I could talk about when Israel went into the Golan Heights. I can talk about South Lebanon. I can talk about so many different things. I could talk about the attacks from the Israeli Defense Force on the Gazan population, which I've done just recently, which was on the back of a great march in Gaza. No one shot a bullet and no one fired a rocket. Yet the IDF attacked them and killed them, the civilians. So what you're talking about is a lie. How dare you think you can lie in public like this on social media and think you will not be corrected? And how dare anybody on such a sensitive topic not do the fact checking that is required? Then he said, in the other aspect or the other portion of the video, he mentioned the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem at the time, who went and saw the Nazis. But did you know that the same Zionist terrorist organizations, yes, Zionist terrorist organizations before the state of Israel, before the inception of the state of Israel, they went and they also made collaborations with the Nazis. And this is in peer-reviewed journals, which I can show you a picture of right now on the screen. You can go ahead and look at this. The secret alliance that took place.
Secret contracts, Zionism and Nazi Germany. 1933, 1941. Klaus Polkane. What? Journal of Palestine Studies. So there were This is
between
interesting.
some of those terrorist organizations, Zionist terrorist organizations, and the Nazis themselves. Why do you think that these Zionist separatists wanted to speak to the Nazis in that manner? Because they both had a common goal, which was removing the Jews from Europe and putting them or placing them in Palestine. So it showed you that even those individuals operated. You're mentioning the Mufti, the Grand Mufti, Amin Husseini. You mentioned him. You didn't even know his name. Yes? Amin Husseini. But you don't mention the fact that the Zionist groups had the same kind of logic or pragmatic kind of way of dealing with the matter with the enemy. If the enemy is my friend. And then you ask a hypothetical question. What would happen if Hamas laid down its weapons? If all the Jews laid down their weapons, what would Hamas do to them? He said he would kill them all. But okay, Hamas was elected in 2006. Disengagement from the Gaza Strip was in 2005. But Hamas was incepted in 1987, which means that there were elements of Hamas in the Gaza Strip where there were people who are settlers and Jewish at the same time. So why if what you're saying is true, then why didn't Hamas kill those guys? It's more than, I don't know, dozens
But
of
more importantly, the fact that well, this is worth mentioning, that the fact that even Israel themselves are funding Hamas, and the fact that one of the politicians, I believe it was Smotrich himself has said that we should treat the Palestinian, the PLO, as a burden, but we should treat Hamas as an asset. What is that supposed to mean? Why would you think that Hamas is such an asset to you? And now you're pretending like, oh, it's the worst thing. They're Nazis. They're worse than the Nazis, and we need to, like, Hamas will kill us all if we let, like, why then were you funding them, and why did you refer to them as assets? You know, and I think Benjamin Netanyahu even admitted the fact, and Bassem Youssef in his interview with Piers Morgan, he even says that you know, Benjamin Netanyahu boasts about the fact that they've let Hamas exist so that they can prevent Palestine from becoming a state. So these things are also playing a part. You know, he's saying that Hamas wants to destroy all the Jews, but then Israel itself wants Hamas to exist. So, like, it's like some sort of weird BDSM fetish going on. I'm sorry, but I don't mean to go there. But you know why I'm saying this, because you're saying that Hamas will eradicate us all, but then at the same breath, you want Hamas to exist so that Palestine doesn't become a state.
That were there in Gaza Strip, why weren't they killed? This is a question that could be asked. And if everything has to go down to Hamas, then what happened before Hamas in 1987? Are you telling me when you had the secular nationalist, PLO, and there was no such thing as Hamas, that the Zionists were not calling the secular nationalist PLO terrorists? They were calling them terrorists at that time as well. So don't make this into scapegoating Hamas for all your problems, as if Israel is a completely innocent party. And then he mentions, as many people do, that Hamas has in its charter that they want to eradicate people in Israel, or all the Jews in Israel. I actually went and looked at some of the articles of that charter to see if this is true. Now, once again, we don't endorse or have a membership card or whatever it is with Hamas, and we account Hamas, as people have seen. But truth must be told, and misinformation is misinformation. If you look at Article 31 of the charter, of the Hamas charter, He said there's a possibility. It's possible, he said. In the charter, it says possible for Jews, Christians, and Muslims to coexist in peace and in quietude, or something to that effect. So it's not exactly true that it says explicitly that all the Jews must be eradicated. I've looked at the charter. That's misinformation, frankly. And if that is what they say,
Another
then we
one.
oppose that as Muslim people. And if that is what they espouse, that we oppose that. Even if they don't espouse it, and if they act upon that, we oppose that. We have no problem taking anybody to account, which is something you have a problem with, because you can't even bring yourself to condemn the killing of these people. And then the man went on, I don't know what this guy is called, the manipulator, I'm just calling him the manipulator, the weasel manipulator, the coward, the liar.
I actually watched another very old video, I think a couple of years ago, in Joe Rogan podcast. This guy came into the podcast and he was talking about Nazis hiding in Argentina, Nazis hiding in underground, like this like hollow earth and all this like weird stuff, you know. And yeah, I kind of liked it, because he was talking about like all these conspiracy theories, and it is kind of documented as well that there are Nazis in Argentina and various parts of, and like Cuba and stuff. So yeah, that's actually not wrong. Excuse me.
The spouter of misinformation, the non-specialist, the academic failure, the ultra-crepidarian, the weasel. And he said to Joe Rogan that he was talking about the hospital. And he said that these hospitals and that was misinformation. Why is it misinformation? And then Joe Rogan was jumping on the bandwagon and said that, yeah, the hospital and the hospital. Okay, for the sake of argument, we don't concede this point to you. We think that the most intelligible and the most proper explanation for the destruction of that hospital was actually a big missile from the IDF. And you can see what the Channel 4 has said about that. You can see their report in your own time. They got a fantastic report disputing, or refuting, I should say, repudiating the claims of the Zionists who say that this was a misfiring of one of the Islamic Jihad or Hamas. That's one thing. But what about the refugee camp, which houses tens of thousands of people? The Jabaliyah refugee camp, which the IDF took full responsibility for. They knew this was civilians here, and they shot it down. They blew it up effectively. So even if you don't want to accept the hospital, then you have the refugee camp. Don't try it!
There are like countless other. Like I saw one video from Kyle Kulinski, who actually showed numbers of how many health facilities the IDF has bombed so far. It was like in the hundreds. So what about those health facilities? If just you're defending you're defending yourself, saying that, oh, we didn't bomb this one hospital. So what about the hundreds of other health facilities? You know.
And Joe Rogan. So even if you don't want to accept the hospital, then you have the refugee camp. Don't try it! And Joe Rogan, watch yourself, with all due respect. Don't mess about. Because if this happened on American ground, you'd be the first one to show outrage and condemnation. We all know that. Yeah? Do your fact checking, because don't make us angry. Don't make us upset. Don't make us disappointed. Don't make us disappointed, yeah? With your nonsense. And apply the same rigor. Apply the same academic rigor that you put to UFC fighting and boxing and Muay Thai to something much more important, quite frankly, which is one of the most important conflicts in the world today. With that, I conclude. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The Prophet
Wa alaikum
Muhammad
assalam wa
sallallahu alayhi
rahmatullahi.
wa sallam told us, whoever builds a mosque for
Yeah, so this was pretty interesting, and I kind of enjoyed this stream so far, and reacting to these videos and giving my take as well. So yeah, this was nice. I'm gonna end the stream today. Somebody's calling me. I gotta pick up the call, and maybe I'll start again tomorrow or another day, whenever is fine for you guys and fine for me as well. Yeah, we can do this again sometime. So this is gonna be it for today's stream. I'm gonna log off. If you guys enjoy it, hit the like button, and subscribe if you haven't, and hit the bell icon so that you get notified every single time I upload a new video or start a new live stream. And until next time, stay good and stay Tausified. Yeah, that's gonna be my new catchphrase. Stay Tausified. Stay Tausified.